I've got a question for Alex. With that oil that you mentioned, is that fresh oil? And also, if you could, first of all, is that fresh oil?
Coming out of the wreck?
Yeah.
Yes, that's yesterday, if you remember, I reported that there was nothing coming out at the midday overflight, and they did see some coming out today. So,
and there's no idea of quantifying that?
No.
And what about, so you mentioned another patch south of Motesi. Can you sort of just expand on that?
Well, all we know is that there was a patch which was actually very different to the oil that we have been observing. So we suspect that it is a subsurface algal bloom, but we're not 100% sure, and we'll monitor it during our next overflight, which is by the end of the day, sort of 5 o'clock.
What's a subsurface algal bloom?
Below the surface, so it's just algal, blooms.
Bloom.
Yep.
Okay.
Question for Grant. What's Rena Howe's approach in terms of personal effects in containers and personal items?
As you might be aware, the first of some personal effects have turned up. I'm aware of a child's bag that has been returned to the family. Braemar has turned up, to the best of my knowledge, a couch and some bubble wrap that was around a mirror. It had mirror written on it, obviously. The mirror, it seems, had gone to the bottom. Our people have been told to treat this stuff with the utmost sensitivity and prioritise it, try and get stuff back to the shippers so that it can be returned to families as soon as possible, because, these are bits of people's lives we're talking about.
It's probably, sorry, just a follow-up question. Probably an unlikely scenario, but if people came across anything that they were pretty sure was theirs on the beach, is the advice still to leave it and call you?
I think that would be good advice here, because we have the means of, our guys will put anything like that aside and then act as quickly as possible, as I say, to get it returned to the owners.
The projected, where that fresh oil is projected to go, the oil out there is projected to go, how far south do you think? You said Pukahina, how far south do you think it could go?
Well, the impact is eastwards from Makatu onwards, and it just goes over a period of days. And again, it depends on the amounts of oil that are out there. We're still talking small amounts, so to say it's going to go a long way is very difficult. We're just looking at a model which says this is where the impacts are likely to occur.
Sorry, just a quick question for Grant again. Sorry to do that up and down again. Just in terms, you said there were 3 that were picked up by the ST60. Just wondering, how many containers are still sort of floating around in the sea that have been located, or have all of them come ashore, or all of them been picked up?
The latest figures that I have to hand, there are 30-odd containers ashore in different places, in different states of, falling apart or otherwise. I don't believe there is anything much at all floating at sea currently that we haven't pinpointed, taken steps to round up and get ready to put on the barges.
So you're confident that most of what could be coming ashore has come ashore already, or is there more coming ashore?
Depends on the weather. I would say that for the moment, in terms of the recent events and what we've been dealing with, that things are well under control, and I can't see other containers suddenly coming ashore now.
And how about debris as well, like with timber? Is that still forecast to head towards Makatu, east of Makatu?
We have had reports of some debris that's found its way, sadly yet again, onto Moteti Island. Different reports of quantity, and we've had a boat out there today. I am aware of certainly some insulation foam from reefer containers, or refrigerated containers. Beyond that, the latest flyovers haven't found any major islands of debris, and I should point out that Braemar has 2 barges at sea as we speak, with excavator arms, and we are grabbing up as much of that floating debris, attacking those debris fields at sea as we possibly can.
Sorry, question for Dave. In terms of the sonar or the assessment of the reef and sending divers down. Can you describe the ideal conditions that you're waiting for? What size swells would be acceptable, or what sort of conditions would allow that?
Well, in short, really, as near as flat calm conditions as possible. I did explain this morning to the community briefing, really, we don't know if containers are stood on the ends, hatch covers stood on the end or anything like that. And it's really important that we get really good, credible data just to ensure whatever they do map around there is good. And the reason for that is what the salvos don't want to do is put their marine assets back into a possible hazardous area before they've actually got credible data to move the boats in. Yeah.
Is there an acceptable sort of leeway? I mean, metre too much, less than metre?
Well, again, I'm not the master on the survey boat, and I can't make comment on what he thinks is appropriate for the sea conditions. But the salvos this morning we spoke to them said that, as near as calm as possible. Thank you.
Right, any more questions?
Just a quickie there, just revisit the wind. We've just been given an advisory right now. Tomorrow, northerlies 25 gusting 40, with a norwesterly change gusting 35, and that's pretty much right the way through the day, which is what you sort of said before.
Mm-hmm.
What's the prospect, bearing in mind with the swells, and now, 40 knot winds are common-ish out there for tomorrow, especially for the forward part?
It's a good question. Like I said earlier, we can't control the weather, and when you think of Rena, every significant event has been weather orientated. What the salvos have been doing today is being proactive in the way they're thinking the possibilities, and it's like I said there, they've been out there, they've put more lashings on the containers, they've tried to strap things down, they've tried to in effect make the forepart as secure as they possibly can. So in short, we don't know what the weather's going to bring us. However, what we can say is the salvos have done the best possible endeavours to make sure everything's secure on the forepart.
I mean, obviously, there's the prospect, and I kept them, John, and you guys, you two have explained that if it does slip further down the reef, you just don't know what's going to happen. You don't know.
No.
But there is a prospect with the wind, the forward section might tumble. Have you got any planning, any thoughts from experience, any scribbles as to what could happen?
John?
Or you're just waiting to see when an event happens to deal with it then?
I think it's the latter. It's the latter. We will be waiting to see what does affect the forward end. But as you can see, it's more exposed now. The outer areas are more exposed with the more exposed there now. These sections of bulkheads are not designed to take heavy seas at all, so we don't know what's going to happen. It all depends from the direction the wind and swell comes from, how it affects that area.
Especially as you've said before, it's those northerly quarter, that northeasterly that screams in that causes the...
Yes, again, I mean, that is exposed to those particular seas, and yes, it will deteriorate, definitely will deteriorate.
And there's seemingly, just looking ahead on the weather forecast, and there's seemingly no break from the winds and the swells for a good couple of days.
Well, I think the forecast is actually just over the weekend, and then next week it's looking pretty good actually next week, so that's hopefully we'll get some back out there.
How likely is it that that forward section could come off the reef? Or
No, it's no buoyancy left in that. It's torn open. Everything is torn open. There's no real buoyancy there at all. What you will see is, as I say, that it's not intact as a ship anymore, and it all depends how the waves hit it and what happens to these bits of steel. It may just fall over them like this, or they may just... But it won't float away. It cannot float away. There's no buoyancy there at all.